Today we are interviewing Mr. Jackson. If you don't mind, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your titles?
I am the executive director for ABATE of Indiana. ABATE's a 501c3 charitable not-for-profit organization. Motorcyclist rights, safety, and advocacy is pretty much what we're all about. So if it benefits or is positive to motorcyclists, we're going to be involved in that. If it's detrimental to motorcyclists, we're going to oppose it. I'm also the vice president of the Motorcycle Riders Foundation based in Washington, D.C. Similar to what ABATE does at the state level, the MRF does at the federal level. I did 2-3-year terms, which is formerly the State Motorcycle Safety Administrators Association, National Association. It is now the State Motorcycle Safety Association, a little more inclusive. Also serve on a nomination committee for the American Motorcyclist Association Hall of Fame in Pickerington, Ohio. The Miracle Ride Foundation, which does a fundraiser benefit for Riley Hospital for Children.
Very interesting. You also are a part of ABC.
We've often, in a long time, done things for other people. The rides we used to do for the Muscular Dystrophy Association back in the 80s primarily are legendary, donating, I believe, about $3.5–4 million to MDA through our relationship with them. So we created the ABCs, which is ABATE Bikers Care. It's an acronym for that. And it's our, if you will, it's so people can apply to that and request assistance financially for their organization. And our board reviews that, and we issue sort of like grants to these groups. Whereas it used to be that we would have a state charity event that benefited a single charity, our ABC program now, the ABATE Bikers Care, do events to collect money for the fund, and then the fund administers to all sorts of people. So we have a lot more reach that way and can help people, hopefully without a lot of hassle. The thought always was that if a American Legion has a water heater go out on them that they just don't have the funds for, they can apply to us and we can say, here, go buy a water heater, put it in, and it's pretty simple, pretty quick, and they can get it taken care of. So that's kind of the concept behind ABC. Each of the regions generally does a fundraising event, at least one each year, to generate money to put in and support that.
Very nice. You also have another program that's called Tiny Tots. Could you explain that a little?
This is maybe, we do a lot of fun stuff, don't get me wrong, but this may be one of the most fun. And I'm not sure who it's the most fun for, if it's the kids, the volunteers, or the parents of the kids, because everybody seems to have a really good time. We really want to get some life in the sport, get other people to adopt our lifestyle, jump on and get excited about motorcycles like we were when we were kids. So we're taking that seriously. We want to get kids involved as early as we can. So the Tiny Tots program allows us not to train people. This isn't training riders. This is just allowing them to experience a real life motorcycle. But they really get to find out what it's like to be in charge. And for, 3-4-year-old kids, this is something new. But if they decide they're interested, we can then enroll kids as young as 6 in a dirt bike school, which is a one-day class, goes through the basics and the introduction, as well as advanced technique in off-road and trail riding. So it's a good door opener for.
And that's put on at Lawrence County State Park?
Yeah, Lawrence County Recreational Park, a property where some folks will know the boogie is held, but the rest of the year, it is an off-road recreational riding facility where we have partnered with the Department of Indiana, Department of Natural Resources, to develop, it's about 80 miles of marked trails now for recreational trail riding, single track and 2-track only. We don't have, big Jeeps or sand rails or trucks or anything out there. It's just the biggest you'll see out there is a side-by-side, a UTV. But it's just a lot of fun to get out there and ride. It's good exercise. It's good entertainment. It's fun for the whole family. It's at the one-day class. Folks can bring their own machine or we can provide the motorcycle. The most fun is when we have a whole family, 4 or 5, brother, sister, mom, dad, all take it together and spend the weekend. It's great fun, and all that information is available on the website as well.
We also offer a motorcycle endorsement course. Would you mind explaining that?
Likely one of our most public faces is that of our rider education program. ABATE of Indiana's Motorcycle Safety Division has been around about 45 years now, started in 1979 up in northern Indiana. And shortly thereafter became statewide. And we've trained just short of 150,000 students at this point since that. It's a entry-level course that is most popular. And that's what folks can come in with no riding experience. Although the fun thing is right next to them will be somebody who's been riding for 20 years and maybe either just taking it with a friend or their spouse, maybe wants to brush up on some skills, just see what they haven't learned, or break some bad habits. Sometimes they just want to get legal. Been riding these 20 years, but they never had a license endorsement. So all of those are possibilities from this. But as you mentioned, license endorsement is certainly one of the benefits that people look at. Rather than having to take a skill test on your own motorcycle, you can come out and use a small displacement motorcycle that we use in training. Typically, we don't have anything over 250 cc, so they're very manageable and work really well for training purposes. And successful completion of this course will result in the student receiving a waiver from having to take a skills or written test. They can get their endorsement actually pretty much right on the spot. The BMV has done a really good job with getting this electronic submission in place. So if a student is successful at the end of class, our instructor enters their data on the MyBMV portal, and the student can then go into their MyBMV account and pull it up and immediately get their endorsement right on their license.
We do a lot of fundraisers, and I know that people can go to the abateonline.org. Again, that's abateonline.org, and look up the calendar. We have events all over the state, but our number one fundraiser, you mentioned a few moments ago, is the Boogie.
Yeah, the Boogie's been going just short of 50 years now, too. It's a lot of fun, an old school biker rally. Folks can come out, and really about the only rule is your good time can't interfere with somebody else's good time. In fact, we encourage people to get crazy. We just warn them not to get stupid. So everybody can let their hair down, those that have hair. We see folks from all walks of life come out there just to have a good time for the weekend and leave their cares and woes behind and party and have a great time. And it's just so diverse. There are quiet areas. If you want to just go hang out and relax and enjoy the weekend, there are spots where you can do. If you want to get out into a big crowd where there's a lot of people just having a good time and making a lot of noise, that certainly is a possibility as well. So it's so many different things for so many different people. So it's a nice party to have a few thousand of our best friends come share the weekend with us. Some people look at it as sort of a family reunion of sorts.
And you don't need a motorcycle to join us. You can just join us, correct?
Jump right in. We're happy to have anybody. Certainly our primary function and our mission is to protect, promote, and preserve motorcycling for future generations.
All right. What kind of events go on at the Boogie? Do you have any entertainment, any food, games?
Yeah, all of the above. The entertainment is you never know for sure who we're going to have show up, but you're guaranteed it's always going to be good quality entertainment. We've got sort of an amphitheater shell set up there, so it's a permanent stage. We have a professional production company come in with light and sound, and it's a full concert experience as part of the event. We have other types of entertainment from time to time, and that can be a surprise from year to year. We've had stunt and thrill shows. We've had comedians. Gallagher played the event once. That was an experience. Bring out your Visqueen and cover up from the Sledge-O-Matic. But you just never know what type of entertainment is going to be there. But it's always a good time, and it's pretty much nonstop all weekend. Field events or a motorcycle rodeo. There's a lot of fun activities to watch or play in. Anybody is welcome and encouraged to participate. The showers are included. There's no shower pass. We've got transportation you don't have to pay for. If you're on a motorcycle, there's one fee to get in. You don't pay to camp. You don't pay to park. You don't pay to do anything. If there's support vehicles, there's some fees for those. But as far as motorcycles go, you've got diplomatic immunity to pretty much go and do what you want at this event. There's also a scenic ride, which if you're familiar with that part of the state, it's some beautiful country with nothing flat down there. Let me tell you, it's all terrain changes and elevation changes, and you'll see all sorts of stuff, green and rock and different colors. It's just a great ride that our Region 6 puts on to take people out for a couple hours through the local area so they can experience some of what that part of the state does have to offer. Arm wrestling contest, the Hoosier Honey contest, which is legendary and must be seen to be believed and fully appreciated. and other things throughout the day, games, simple things like cornhole and darts and pong, all that happy stuff. Something to do all the time at the boogie. Something for everybody and something all the time.
So this year, the boogie will be on July 18th through the 21st. Our Who's Your Motorcyclist is packed with a lot of information. And can you give us a little bit of brief on what's in that Who's Your magazine and how do people get it?
The boogie is always the third full weekend in July. Sometimes if the first is on a Thursday, that confuses people. But if the first is on a Friday, we count that weekend. Otherwise, we don't. So the third full weekend in July, as you said, this year, it's the 18th through the 21st. Who's Your Motorcyclist News magazine is really a great full-color publication. It has a split cover, and it's packed with content. Each of the regions have a section where they can submit things about what's going on in their region, be that meetings, elections, events, concerns. Any member can write in and have their entry listed in that region section. Our region directors, which make up our board of directors, submit something every month of their region. And each of our programs have pages in there as well, all related to motorcycling. And of course, features on the events that happen across the state and newsworthy items of interest to motorcyclists on the state and the federal level. It's available, comes out every month. We get 12 issues a year, and that is a benefit of membership. So if you're a $25 membership, you get a subscription to Who's Your Motorcyclist for a year. It's a great publication, and as you said, it's just packed with information.
Awesome. Another thing that I've personally visited there is at the Lawrence County Recreational Park. It's the Motorcycle Memorial. Can you explain that a little bit for us, please?
Yeah, the Indiana State Motorcycle Safety Memorial is housed on the property at the Lawrence County Recreational Park down in Springville, Indiana. It's about I think it's just short of an acre that is devoted to that memorial. And like most monuments or memorials, it's kind of a somber place. It was originally created, and it is cut from the same vein of stone that the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. is cut from. See, big rock is of that composition. And it was originally created to recognize the commitment and the sacrifices of motorcycle safety personnel, folks that give up their weekends to go out and teach people how to ride that we've lost through the years for whatever reason. It's a place to just honor them and thank them for their contribution. And so motorcycle safety instructors are featured on the monument itself, which is the centerpiece, but its shape is such that it allowed for folks to go off in each direction. The pavers on the primary walk are just in support, so people can either do that as a tribute, a somber and solemn place where you can go to just reflect on the people there that have passed. And some people take that very seriously, and it's a very emotional moment. It's very touching. I'm getting goosebumps right now talking.
Can you tell us how we should be able to join ABATE if we're interested?
ABATE of Indiana welcomes everybody. There is a membership application that you can find online, abateonline.org. It's immediately active, valid for a year. We do offer discounts, so you can get a 3-year membership or 5-year membership that gives you a 20% discount, which means you get a year free. However, the membership is so important to us because as a motorcyclist rights organization, our primary activity is that of being grassroots lobbyists. So the more people we have, the stronger our voice.
Okay. And how many regions are there?
We currently have 14 geographic regions within the state of Indiana, 0 through 13. And then we do have a distinction that you're very familiar with for those that reside outside the state. We lump them all together into a category we call Region 99.
What benefits are there to signing up with ABATE? Like, do we have...
Primary benefit to being an ABATE of Indiana member is knowing that you're supporting an organization that supports motorcyclists. As I said, our true mission is to protect, preserve, and promote motorcycling for future generations to make sure that we continue to exist and people can go out and experience the joy and the freedom that we do through these machines that we love so much.
Explain some of the things that ABATE has been involved in fighting for the rights of the motorcyclists.
There's an endless list over the course of the last nearly 50 years. What started the motorcyclist rights movement was the federal helmet law took effect in the 1960s. Then in the mid-1900s, there was an opportunity to do away with that, and the states could a little more freely decide what they wanted to do with motorcycle helmets. So Indiana repealed their motorcycle helmet law. For adults, we still have a motorcycle helmet law, but that is probably the most significant thing on the motorcyclist rights movement, helmet law. We want the riders to have the choice, and not just with a helmet, but what gear suits them best. And it very well may help protect you in the event of a crash. So we continue to fight for freedom of rights and things like this. Could have been catastrophic were it not for heading it off to make sure it didn't.
Would you mind explaining the red light law?
Frequently referred to as a dead red. We on motorcycles understand that we don't have quite the same mass as a car or a truck. Therefore, when it's a magnetically tripped system, motorcycles don't trip traffic signals. For many years, we'd pull up to a stoplight and it didn't detect our presence. So we were effective in getting a good friend, State Representative Mike Cherikoff, carried this legislation, and we passed legislation that allows for after 120 seconds of sitting there waiting with nothing happening, a motorcycle can proceed through an intersection. It's safe to do so.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you think that we haven't covered yet that you would personally like to cover in this interview?
The most significant benefit is supporting an organization that is supporting motorcyclists. I've said several times, we want to make sure that we protect, promote, and preserve motorcycling for future generations, and we need help to do that. We need those numbers to give us a larger voice. The more people we have, the louder our voice, the more it's heard. Whether that be in legislative circles or the court of public opinion or wherever that is, the more people we have speaking on our part, the more people are going to be receptive and hear what our message is. So we want and need those members to support the organization. But beyond that, there are certainly benefits. ABATE Legal Services Program has a number of things that are offered to members at no cost, including a simple will. Even if you go online and go through like LegalZoom or one of those sources, I think there's still $50, $75 to simple will drafted. ABATE Legal Services does that for members at no cost. Legal Services also fronts the road hazard hotline, if you will, whereas when people find a problem out on a road, be it a pothole or be it a railroad crossing or a signal that doesn't react or whatever it is, they can go through roadhazard.org. And again, it's a louder voice. When an attorney submits something to the Department of Transportation, they sort of pay attention because they put on note.
Okay, go ahead.
Accident dismemberment benefit, which is at no cost to the organization.
And what does ABATE stand for?
There are actually two definitions that we still recognize. Back in 1975, when we started across the country, the ABATEs that we're forming, our public acronym is American Bikers Aim Toward Education. And the rallying cry for years in the movement was education, not legislation. Don't just stick a helmet on somebody's head. Let's talk to them about how to make things safer. The helmet is a reactive measure that only works after a crash has already occurred. Whereas if we work on awareness to make sure that other vehicles share the roadway with motorcycles and make sure that riders are better trained, properly licensed, trained, so that they're less likely to be involved in a crash or have an incident, those are all things that are part of education rather than merely legislation.
Is there anything else you would like to add to this?
We've covered a lot of ground. There's always more that can be discussed, but I thank you for reaching out and asking the questions you have.
I will go ahead and close at this point. You good?
Thanks, RD.
All righty. Then remember, look twice, save a life. Motorcycles are everywhere. A life is riding on it, and it could be mine or his.